Hello, my name's Sean Wilkins, and I am one of the co-authors for the new Cisco CCENT and CCNA simulators by Pearson. This video will take a walkthrough of one of the troubleshooting scenario labs in the simulator. Troubleshooting scenario labs add an additional level of complexity, requiring you to use the knowledge you have gained from the Skill Builder, Subnet Exercise, and Configuration Scenario labs to troubleshoot a number of problems that have been initially built into the lab. You have the option of following the steps or not, depending on if you want to perform the troubleshooting with or without assistance. Be aware, however, that the grading system is prepared for the commands that are issued within lab steps and could show a grade other than pass if the exact steps are not followed. For this walkthrough, we will take a look at the switch forwarding troubleshooting lab that is located within ICND1. Now let's get started by double-clicking on the lab name. Now that the lab is loaded, let's take a look at the three different window panes that are displayed. The first includes a figure showing the topology that will be used for this lab. This topology is slightly more complex than with the other walkthroughs and includes two LANs that are connected together with a WAN connection. The second pane includes a console window of the currently selected device. For this lab, switch 3 is the initial device that is used, and because of this, it is the console that is currently displayed in this pane. The third pane includes the lab instructions. These instructions for TS labs will include both simple and advanced tasks, including filling out answer boxes and fill-in tables. Now that we've gone through this, let's walk through the lab. In this lab, you will walk through the forwarding of frames on a switch network where potential STP issues have been avoided by not wiring in any potential wiring loops. The three specific frames that are followed include a broadcast frame from PC1, a frame destined for R1's Fast Ethernet 00 interface's MAC address, and a frame from PC2 to PC1. Step 1 begins part 1 of the lab and asks you to connect to the console of switch 3. Like all other CS labs, the default password is always Cisco Press. Step 2 asks that you issue the command that is used to display the VLANs and their associated ports on the switch. The command for this is show VLAN, which is used to answer the second question asked in Step 2 about the VLAN that is currently assigned to PC1. According to the output, the interface that connects to PC1, Fast Ethernet 011, is assigned into VLAN 2. Step 3 asks that you specify which interface or interfaces switch 3 would send a broadcast frame out which was sent from PC1. According to just the output of the show VLAN command from Step 2, the only interface that is assigned to VLAN 2 is the Fast Ethernet 011 interface, which is connected to PC1. This seems to say that the frame would be forwarded nowhere, as the switch will never flood a frame back out the same interface it was received on. Step 4 explores this a little further by having you show the status of the interfaces on switch 3. This command indicates that there is a trunk that's connected off of switch 3's Gigabit Ethernet 01 interface. Because of this, switch 3 will send the frame out of this trunk interface to switch 1. Step 5 has you connect over to the switch 1 console. From here, it has you issue the show VLAN command again. From this output, what interfaces will switch 1 send this broadcast frame out, which comes from PC1? The answer is out its Fast Ethernet 011 interface because it is also in VLAN 2. Step 6 has you check the status of the interfaces on switch 1. According to the output, switch 1 is trunking with two interfaces, Gigabit Ethernet 02, which goes back to switch 3, and its Gigabit Ethernet 01 interface, which goes to switch 2. Out of these two trunks, switch 1 will only flood the frame out of its Gigabit Ethernet 01 interface, as it received the frame on its Gigabit Ethernet 02 interface. Step 7 has you connect to switch 2 and display the VLANs and the interface status to determine where switch 2 will potentially send the frame. To do this, again use the show VLAN and the show interface status commands to determine your answer. In this case, switch 2 will only send the frame out its Fast Ethernet 010 interface because it had received the frame on its Gigabit 01 interface, which was the only other trunk configured on switch 2, and there are no other interfaces that exist on switch 2 that are in VLAN 2. Step 8 begins part 2 of the lab. In this part, the problem with the trunk between switch 2 and switch 4 is fixed, and the path of the broadcast frame from PC1 will again be assessed. At this point, the lab has you connect to switch 4 and display the status of its interfaces. The output will show that the interface that connects switch 4 to PC2 is enabled, but the interface linking switch 4 to switch 1 and switch 2 has been disabled. Step 9 has you enable the Gigabit Ethernet 01 interface on switch 4 that connects it with switch 2. Step 10 has you connect back to switch 2 and again assess what interfaces that switch 2 would send a broadcast frame from PC1 out of. From the output of the show interface status command, it shows that the trunk between switch 2 and switch 4 is now up and would be added as an additional forwarding interface on switch 2 for the broadcast frame along with the trunk that connects to R1. Step 11 has you connect back to switch 4 and determine which interfaces that the broadcast frame would be sent out of. The output of the show interface status command shows that the only other interface that is up, other than the trunk that connects back to switch 2, and is enabled is the Fast Ethernet 012 interface. This is the interface that connects to PC2 and is in VLAN 2. Step 12 begins part 3 of the lab. In this part, a frame destined for R1's Fast Ethernet 00 MAC address will be sent from PC1. The forwarding path for this frame will be determined throughout this part. Step 12 has you connect to PC1 and ping R1's Fast Ethernet 00.2 interface, which has a MAC address of 0200.aaaaa.aaaaa and is configured in VLAN 2 by issuing the ping 172.16.0.1 command. This command populates the MAC entries within the simulator along the path so it can be traced. Then connect to switch 3 and display its MAC address table. From the display from this command, the lab has you determine what interface is used by switch 3 to forward the frame out to the MAC address 0200.aaaaa.aaaaa. In this case, switch 3 will forward the frame only out of the Gigabit Ethernet 01 trunk, as the only other interface in VLAN 2 is the Fast Ethernet 011 interface that connects directly back to PC1. Step 13 has you connect to switch 1 and examine its MAC address table. The simulator then has you figure out from the output where the frame would next be forwarded. From the information shown in the table, switch 1 will only forward out the frame out its Gigabit Ethernet 01 trunk because of an existing mapping to R1's 0200.aaaaa.aaaaa MAC address for VLAN 2. Step 14 has you connect to switch 2 and examine its MAC address table. The simulator then has you figure out from the output where the frame would next be forwarded. From the information shown on its MAC address table, switch 2 will forward the frame out its Fast Ethernet 010 trunk to R1. Step 15 begins part 4 of the lab. In this part, a frame coming from PC2 will be forwarded to its destination on PC1. PC1 has a MAC address of 0200.1111.1111. Step 15 has you connect to switch 4 and examine its MAC address table. The simulator then has you figure out from the output where the frame would be forwarded. In this case, a frame destined for PC1's MAC address would go out of switch 4's Gigabit Ethernet 01 trunk as it was learned on this interface. Step 16 has you connect to switch 2 and examine its MAC address table. In this case, looking for the entries for PC1's MAC address. From the output, the frame destined for PC1 will go out of switch 2's Gigabit Ethernet 01 trunk to switch 1. Step 17 has you connect to switch 1 and examine its MAC address table, again looking for PC1's MAC address. From the output, the frame destined for PC1's MAC address goes out of switch 1's Gigabit Ethernet 02 trunk to switch 3. Step 18 has you connect to switch 3 and examine its MAC address table. From the output, the frame destined for PC1's MAC address will be forwarded out of the Fast Ethernet 011 interface to PC1. And this concludes the switch forwarding troubleshooting lab. To check your grade at this point, you would click on the Grade Lab button on the top of the screen. And with that, this concludes the Troubleshooting Scenario Lab walkthrough of the Cisco simulator. I hope you enjoyed learning from it as much as we enjoyed making it for you. Thank you.